Welcome to the Bold Money Revolution podcast. This is your source for straight talking, no fluff, business and high performance conversations that add real depth and value to the way bold leaders live, work, and thrive. I'm your host, Tara Newman. I'm here to show you how to optimize your performance as a leader so that you can grow a business that is profit-rich, efficient, and allows you to generate real, tangible wealth for yourself and others. We are here to help you lead with your values, to perform without overwhelm and burnout, and to do your most important work in the world. What is pricing purgatory? Hey, it's Tara, and before we start the show, I want to talk to you about this really important topic. Pricing purgatory is when you're too expensive for the people who will never buy and too cheap for the people who are seeking value. That's when you've entered pricing purgatory, and it certainly is a hellscape, a special place where smart AF experts with service and education businesses go to die. Not priced strategically enough to fully support you, the work you do, or the impact you want to have, leaving you energetically and emotionally drained of life, creativity, and enthusiasm for the work you care so much about. I don't know about you, but I'm done withering on the vine, feeling sucked dry and used up, because that is worse than feeling burned out, in my opinion. So I'm leading the charge and modeling what it looks like to make bold moves with your pricing. As a matter of fact, we're increasing the price of the Bold Profit Academy by 50%. That's right. We're going from $500 a month to $750 a month. Why? Because we've spent the last 3 years designing a better solution than many of the programs that we're seeing people waste money on today. Our system supports you in getting the results you actually need by helping you develop the tangible money-making and money management skills. I'm talking about strategy, skills, systems, and structure that show you how to identify your invisible leads so you're not blowing all your dough on lead generation strategies. We're showing you how to convert leads more quickly so you can accelerate your revenue, how to design a sales process that aligns with your values and allows you to iterate instead of feeling like you're constantly starting over, and how to increase your profitability so you can keep more of what you make. You can obviously join us at any time, but now would be the most profitable because on November 18th, our price goes up 50%. So if you're ready to join us before that price increase, go to theboldleadershiprevolution.com/academy. Or if you have questions and you want to speak to me directly, yes, me directly, I want you to do one of two things. You can either send me a message on Instagram, I'm at the Tara Newman. You can text or voice message me there, or I'm going to give you my private Voxer handle so you can Voxer me if that is more easy for you than Instagram. My Voxer handle is also at the Tara Newman, and you can text or voice message me there as well. Hey everyone, it's Tara Newman, and we are here with the Bold Profit Academy case study series. That is what I am calling this because we are interviewing some of the really amazing, genuinely amazing women in the program to share their experience so that really more people can hear what it's like to actually participate in a business building accelerator program that isn't Sketch City. Right, Danielle? Isn't Sketch City?
Right.
Okay.
Yes, Sketch City.
Right.
I mean, not
I'm here to,
but like, yes.
Yeah. So I'm here today with Danielle Levy. Thank you for joining me, Danielle. Why don't you tell everybody who you are, what you do, who your best fit client is?
Yeah. So I'm a integrator, fractional COO. I love to hang out on people operations and all things people oriented to make businesses grow and thrive. And my audience is B2B and B2C, 6, 7, and maybe not quite 8-figure businesses.
All right. Awesome. I love you because you and we have a similar background, almost exactly the same, right? Tell me what you were doing before you started your business.
I was burnt out and miserable, was what I was doing. So I spent probably close to 20 years working in ad agencies, design studios, communications consulting firms, and I was completely burnt out. And I thought, well, might as well go to graduate school, got an MBA, came out of graduate school even more burnt out than I was when I went in. And then I said, you know what? I have a milestone birthday. I'm going to celebrate it in a way that feels really good to me because I'm just tired and burnt out. I keep saying that word, but that's all that I was. And I had a happenstance introduction that launched my business.
Amazing. Amazing. And so what was the aspiration? Just now curious hearing your story, because this is the story of the women that are in the program, that are the women that I work with, established experts, have had a traditional 9 to 5 and didn't leave because they wanted to start like some kind of 7-figure or 8-figure business, but left out of necessity. They were burnt out. They were emotionally drained, physically exhausted, mentally overloaded. And so when you left, what was the aspiration?
Yeah. I mean, I think for me, I always have had this mindset of if I work hard enough, if I do enough things, if I show up enough, then it's going to get me somewhere. I don't even know where I thought that was. And there were two things that I saw happening. One was I would get there, wherever the fictitious there was. And I was like, this is more of the same garbage. Or two, I would fall into some kind of reorg, or someone's best friend would become the vice president, whatever. And there would be a reshuffle. It was like, no matter how hard I worked, there were so many things that were beyond my control. And so many things that I didn't agree with that I saw happening that I couldn't do it anymore.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So you were just looking for something better.
Yeah, absolutely.
Something better, something that was in your control.
Yeah.
Where you had some autonomy. I hear that a lot from women, especially right now, as so many small business owners are considering going and getting a job just due to the stress load that everybody's been under for the last few years. And when they go and they're like, okay, I'm going to go back, because they would be making 6 figures in their 9 to 5 in a traditional setting. You certainly would be. I would be. Almost everybody would be at this point making that level of salary. And when they start to really look at it, they don't want to lose that autonomy and that agency over their time freedom and over the way they work and over their choices that they're making and the decisions that they have to make.
Sure. And there's other thing that I would add is I was the primary breadwinner in our family, and I had 2 really young kids. And when, you're sitting in meetings with your boss or with your colleagues or whomever, and they're talking about diversifying our client base because we can't have 80% of our team working on X client or 90% of our team working on that client. I really was like, the light bulbs were going off. Well, then why would I put stock in 100% of my revenue coming from one source, right? That as I saw more reorgs and acquisitions and all of these things that happen, I was like, well, this is getting scarier and scarier because 100% of our income is dependent on this one thing that I can only control to an extent. And that as a mom and as a professional became a really, really scary thing for me. And that was probably what really pushed me to say, I have to do something about this.
That's really interesting because so many people believe that their job provides more stability and security than a small business. And I think it's the opposite. And what I'm hearing you say is you felt similarly to that didn't feel completely secure to you either. And that you would like to have that line of sight and that control over those decisions.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, same.
It was interesting because I worked in a lot of startups, and there's maybe some risk in startups. I worked in some really established companies. No matter what company I landed at, it always had that same feeling of changes on the horizon. You don't know, who's going to be reporting to who or whatever's going on.
Sure. Yep. So I totally understand that. Now I want to lead people into how you and I that very first conversation we had, because it's a part of the story that we're going to tell today. So Danielle was referred to me by a mutual colleague, and she joined the waitlist for the Bold Profit Academy. And I sent my typical, email out to people who joined the waitlist for the Bold Profit Academy, and we booked a time to chat. And when we got on that call, first of all, what was happening where you were like, I need to talk to you, or I'm thinking about joining this program? Like, what was the urgency there?
Sure. So I had come out, when I transitioned into doing what I'm doing now, I had a lot of insecurity, and it was a new playground and there were new terms and who are these, new clients and all that thing. And so I sort of had to reconcile like my corporate professional experience with this new environment. And once I did that, I knew I wanted more. So I was referred to a mastermind by a very, very trusted colleague And I said, I want to make sure this is a true mastermind with women that want to up level. I've been in some coaching programs. They weren't a right fit for me. I'm not like a very linear, I'm very self-motivated. I didn't need a coach per se. And this was my first major investment. And the group ended up being very, very small. It ended up being very cliquey, and I didn't love the person that was running it. And I didn't see a lot of learning happening, nor did I see a lot of community happening. So the following year, when I went to make
What did you see happening? I'm just curious. If you didn't see learning and community and that mutual support, what was happening?
A lot of individual conversation, a lot of
oh, that's the clicky part that you said.
Yeah. And it was, so-and-so knew what so-and-so was doing in their business. So when you got on a group call, it was like, I wasn't really part of the conversation. There wasn't an agenda. There wasn't teaching that was happening.
Okay.
It was show up, and it was a lot of that, like what you see on Facebook, like, let's throw a virtual, dance party, or let's, cheers. Like we made it, and it just was a little too, there wasn't enough depth for me to it.
Okay, great. It lacked depth. Thanks.
Yep. And so then I went to the other extreme. I had been to a very well-known event in the industry, and I went in there saying, I'm not going to drink the Kool-Aid, but I was with a couple of clients, and I came out and I very deliberately said, is this right for me? Because I've just been in this environment and the Kool-Aid is being poured for me. Am I going to step into this? And I made a very conscious choice that, yes, this was a right choice for me. And I was a number. You know what? I don't even know that I had a number. I was part of an uncontrolled crowd of people, that they were changing their systems, that there were coaches constantly being assigned. I couldn't even I'm a very organized person. And I was like, I couldn't keep track of like, my mentor is here on this day and this coaching is on this day. And it was all very, aside from the logistics, which I couldn't get my head around. And this was double the investment of the first group. I couldn't quite figure out what the teaching was all about. It was a game of, how do we take technology and make it work for us? And where's the silver bullet, I guess, is kind of how I felt about it. And all of the money that I spent, which was the biggest investment that I had made, I didn't know where I fit into any of it. And everyone that I talked to would kind of shuffle me off to somebody else. It was too big.
Okay. And how did you feel about what they were teaching in that group? Whatever you were being taught or whatever you were being supported with, no matter how chaotic it was, you mentioned Kool-Aid. So immediately I'm thinking this is one of those internet marketing cesspity.
It was. And I sort of had those suspicions before I signed up for it. But having been to the live event, having talked to many of their other folks in the program that I knew, I was like, okay, this reputation has just taken on a life of its own. This is actually right for me. So, but it was just marketing tactic. I'm not even calling it marketing strategy. I'm calling it marketing tactic.
Yeah. Just like darts at a dartboard kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And there was a lot of, well, this is what your numbers say, go back and work on it yourself. Well, my numbers say this because I did my best job. Can you help? Like, it was this just very bizarre, like, advising on the thing that had happened, but there wasn't like a leading coaching investment in me. I felt like.
Okay. All right. And so the urgency for then when we had that conversation was around, I've tried these other things and I don't want to be on my own. I'm looking for a place where I fit to be supported and grow.
Correct. So after that second year of investment in professional development, I went to a trusted colleague who I've known for years and years and years. And I thought, you know what? She will not steer me wrong. She knows me. She knows my people. And I respect 1,000% everything that she has to say. And immediately, you were the only one that she introduced me to. Like, she said, you have to talk to Tara.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, if she says that I have to talk to you, then I have to talk to you. And then I got to your website and there was a wait list up. And I was like, oh, I guess I have to wait a bit. And then you emailed me.
Then I emailed you and we had a call. And I personally felt like we kind of connected right away, just because I think our backgrounds are so similar.
Yeah. So if I could just take a step back on that, though, I was pretty standoffish when I got on the call with you.
Okay.
Because you sent a very short email that was very sincere, but I was so colored by the previous experience that I had. I was like, this woman can't be for real. Like, I don't
She's
know
too good to be true.
Right. And so I went into that call with, I am not drinking more Kool-Aid. I don't care what my colleague says. I'm not getting involved, but out of a courtesy to this other coach, I'll talk to Tara. That's the mindset that I went in with.
So that's funny because that was not my interpretation of you, but we did get there.
Okay.
When you said like that email you sent. And I said, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry you felt that way. I actually sent that from my Gmail account personally. And the look on your face was like, what?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So you managed to get over your skepticism.
Yes.
And you were really looking for a place where I think that you could, like you were saying, like learn and grow. And I'm going to say be in a mature audience. Yes. Of people, a mature cohort of people. You, like everybody else pretty much in my program, are actual experts with lots of qualification and lots of business maturity and lots of expertise. So when you first joined us, and you haven't been with us having 6 months, I don't think.
Correct.
I don't even think you've been with us 6 months. Okay. So what was a breakthrough that you had within like the last 6 months joining the program?
The last conversation that you're going to put me on the spot because I forget the word that you used. It's a Yiddish word.
Oh, pishka?
Yes.
Okay.
And that's, I mean, do you want to explain to us for what that is? Or
so a pishka, my bubby used to tell me that I needed to have a pishka, and a pishka is like a set aside account that it was just for me to access just in case. It was typically just in case my husband was an ass and like ran off or something like that, that I wouldn't be left to my own devices, that I would have money of my own. But yeah, we can have pishkas for lots of things.
Right. And so it was the first time. So secretly, I've always had one, but it felt very negative to me. Like, oh, like I'm like, yeah, it felt like, oh, I'm like just taking off the top. I'm not serving my family. I'm not serving my business. Like it felt kind of negative and icky to me. But for some reason over the years, I've always been driven to do it. And what I loved about the conversation was it was a mature group of professionals, like you said, talking about it in all the different ways that it comes into our personal and professional lives, and that it is a necessity. And it was not, I mean, we laughed a lot in that call.
Yeah.
There was so much learning that was happening, and we normalized the realities of when you would need to draw on it, and that it's okay to do it. And it's okay to disagree with your life partner or your business partner, or even, sort of use it as a protection mechanism if your business goes sideways. And it was just a very normalizing thing that I thought was like I'm just going to kind of hack my way through my business and keep my fingers crossed kind of way.
Yeah. So would you say that conversation is, so what I'm hearing you say is that was a very honest, transparent, normalizing, non-shaming, non-judgmental.
All of those things. Yes.
Conversation, one about money, two about business and relationships and boundaries and all of that comes into play with it. And that you really had a learning and a takeaway from that was supported by the other women in the group. Would you say that that's your normal experience in that group?
Yes, it's absolutely my normal experience in that group. And again, I couldn't get over the professional, just the maturity all the way around of the group. And this was, I mean, the conversation could have gone anywhere. And for me to say, I've been with you for 6 months, and that was one of the biggest ahas that I've had. I mean, I've had plenty of ahas, but I'm also somebody that has been through a lot of financial training before. I have a bunch of degrees and have gone to a couple of different business schools. And so a lot of times the numbers of it all, or the profit first methodology, isn't always what I'm going to a group for. It's those intangibles and the community and the all around up leveling of the conversation that really attracts me.
Yeah, I remember when you first joined and you came into the community, and we do a wins post every Friday, and the wins, I don't know, you can correct me if I'm wrong, are pretty stellar.
Yes.
They're pretty legitimate.
Yeah.
Legitimate results that people are getting on a weekly basis that move their businesses forward and increasing their growth and their revenue. And I remember your first comment, because it really struck me, and it wasn't necessarily uncommon, but you were like, I found a place.
Yeah.
That was like your win. You're like, I found a place where I could learn and grow with a bunch of women in business.
Yes. Yeah. Another win that I've had is there's another woman in the group that needed a hand with an area of business that I, handle all of the time. And we kind of went through the process together, and I gave her some tips, and we voxered a lot over a couple of weeks. And I'll never forget when she posted her win of the week was that we had achieved our goal. And it wasn't about me achieving the goal. It was, and I have worth in this group, and what I do is really valuable, and I have impacted somebody else's business in a positive way, and someone that I respected so much in the business that she was running. And for me, for what the lessons that I tried to give her and the coaching that I tried to do was just everyday conversation and me just being me. But it was a place that I really felt like I could stand up and say, hey, I can help you. And also just work really collaboratively and confidently with her. That's a win for me that I haven't in other groups.
Yeah. I will say that you all really care about each other and you connect, but in like a meaningful way. I don't think like in a cliquey way, like you were mentioning in another group, but like in a very grounded, professional way. You interact with each other, give each other really good feedback. Somebody else mentioned that on another call, that like when they ask for feedback, it's real feedback. And I don't know if this has been your experience. It's certainly been mine, and like why this program is so important to me. But as somebody who is an expert, I would go into these programs and I'd realize that the person who was teaching the program wasn't an expert in what they did. Yeah. And then they actually didn't understand what I did. So they couldn't even see my value. And so they didn't understand what I did, because they didn't have that like real world business experience. And it would wind up really messing with my confidence to be in a group with people who didn't understand business at the level that I understood it. And then I, to what you were saying in the beginning, would become very insecure.
Right. Yeah. It's an interesting thing in this space that we're in, that sometimes it just takes deep pockets for people to get where they are. And I genuinely feel like nearly everyone needs to go through a corporate experience, some form of a corporate experience, to understand appropriate rules of engagement and communication skills and boundaries and all of those things. And I think that's one of the things that I just adore working with you so much. One of the reasons that I adore working with you, because you bring all of those things in a very modern way. And you're just consistently showing up and saying, and this is how it applies today. And this is how it probably is going to look tomorrow. And this is the knowledge that I'm bringing with me. And here's how we're going to modernize it.
We talk a lot about in frameworks.
Yeah.
And frameworks and process and structure, so that you can come in and put your spin, your strengths, what's relevant today into the mix. And you will always have a business that succeeds because you understand why you're doing what you're doing. Because that's what I see the most, is just people don't understand why they do what they do sometimes. And that might not have applied to you because you had an MBA, but just in general, there's like a lack of why and process behind it.
Yes.
What would you say to women who are considering joining the program?
Why are you waiting? That's what I mean. Do it like right now. Yeah. For me, it is brought the professional and personal community, and it has brought just the true teaching. It has brought professional development, the strategic thinking, the day-to-day. Here are the things that I need to, here's how I make small moves with big impact. It's just the real deal. And it's interesting because after we had that initial conversation, I went back and read your sales page, And I heard you reading that to me, even though, I was just reading it in my head. And I was like, everyone needs to know that this is the real deal. This is the way that coaching and development needs to get done.
Yeah, I think people sometimes have some dissonance, and that's why it takes them a little while to join. But, this case study series is going out at a time where we're going to be significantly raising our rates. We're raising our price by 50%. So it's going from $500 a month to $750 a month. Mm-hmm. Now, anybody who's currently in the program will always have the price that they came in at. Do you feel that program, this is a loaded question and I didn't even prepare her, so now I'm scared that I'm asking it. But do you feel at $750 a month with what you've seen out there in the marketplace, do you feel that the value is there?
I absolutely do. And I feel like for $750, it's a steal.
Yeah, it's going to go up again. But yes, we're going to $750 first. So thank you. Thank you so much, Danielle. Is there anything else you want to share with women right now who are in business and maybe they're a little hesitant, concerned, stressed, just in life in general, as like one woman to another? Is there anything that you would like to share with them? Some words of encouragement or?
Just to trust their instincts. And when something doesn't feel right, it's probably not right for them as individuals. When something does seem right, or talk to people, your trusted, folks, and just trust your intuition because you'll get there.
Yeah. Thanks, Danielle. I really appreciate you.
Thank you. I appreciate you too.
If you found this podcast valuable, help us develop more bold leaders in the world by sharing this episode with your friends, colleagues, and other bold leaders. Also, if you haven't done so already, please leave a review. I consider reviews like podcast currency, and it's the one thing you can do to help us out here at the Bold Leadership Revolution HQ. We would be so grateful for it. Special thanks goes to Stacey Harris from Uncommonly More, who is the producer and editor of this podcast. Go check them out for all your digital marketing and content creation needs. Be sure to tune into the next episode to help you embrace your ambition and leave the grind behind.